Most people don't choose the wrong paint color. I hate to break it to you. They just choose it in the wrong order. And that's why something can look perfect on a sample and completely wrong once it's painted on your wall. This isn't a taste issue. It's a process issue. And this is actually the exact process I use when I'm working with clients through our palette pyramids and online color consultations. Normally, I'm walking people through this step by step and building a full palette around their home. But in this video, I'm basically going to give you the entire process for free. I mean, maybe for a like and a subscribe and a share with your friends. That'd be nice. We've been offering custom color palettes and people have been loving them. It's a more affordable alternative to traditional online color consultations. So if you're looking for some color inspiration, check out the link below, whether you need a 3-color palette or 6+ colors. And as part of the service, I even send you a personalized video explaining the color choices, so everything is crystal clear. Check out the link below if you want to purchase one today. People have been loving them. We've been doing so many of them recently. If you follow this, you'll eliminate probably 90% of the mistakes people make when choosing paint colors. Let's start with step 1. Step 1, start with fixed elements. The biggest mistake people make is starting with paint. I know we're all excited about paint. So excited! We love it. I mean, you're watching the paint people right now, right? The beauty of it is paint is actually the most flexible thing in your home. It's one of the easiest things to change, and yet it's the first thing most people try to lock in. Instead, you kind of want to do the opposite. You want to start with what's not changing. Your flooring, your countertops, your cabinetry, your tile, even your furniture to a degree. Those elements already have undertones, already have temperature, already have visual weight, and they also inform your personal tastes because chances are you picked a lot of those things. Your paint color's job isn't to stand alone, it's to support those elements. If you pick paint first, you're just kind of guessing at that point. If you pick it last, you're aligning, you're focused. I love it. Step 2, decide warm versus cool. This step eliminates most bad options immediately. You essentially are cutting your options in half in a way. Before you look at specific colors, you need to decide if your space is going to feel warm or cool. Choosing between warm and cool paint colors first will eliminate most mistakes before they even happen. Every home already leans in a direction. If you have warm wood floors, beige stone, brass finishes, your home is warm visually, even if the AC is blasting. However, if you have gray tile, cooler countertops, chrome, black finishes, your home leans a bit cooler, a little more contemporary. The mistake people make is mixing these unintentionally. They pick a cool gray because it looks nice on its own, or they just want to change up from the warmer colors they had. The thing is though, if you still got warm flooring, it's going to clash. Same thing if you pick a creamy white in a cooler space and it just feels slightly off, or even more than slightly. When the temperature of your paint does not match the temperature of your home, everything can feel disconnected. It's at least a lot harder to pull off. Once you get this step right, everything else becomes easier. You're no longer choosing from 4,000 colors, you're maybe choosing from 2,000? It's not bad. This is where something like white dove, pale oak, or even Pashmina might come into play in a warmer house. Or even something like Collingwood or Balboa mist or silver satin in a slightly cooler environment. But the key is, you've already narrowed the field. Step 3, choose depth before color. Before you pick a specific color, decide how light or dark you want the space to feel. This is where people jump way ahead. They start debating between specific swatches when they haven't even decided on the mood. Do you want the room to feel light, airy, and buoyant, like a classic gray or even a pale oak? Or do you want something more grounded, but still neutral? Perhaps Pashmina or even Dovetail. Do you want depth or contrast? What about vintage Vogue or iron ore? Very nice.
It's nice.
You're not choosing color yet. You're choosing atmosphere. Very important distinction. Step 4, narrow to 2 to 3 options. This is where people completely lose the plot. They go into a paint store, grab 20 samples, bring them home, and now they're way more confused than when they started.
What's happening?
Looking at too many paint colors at once is one of the fastest ways to make a bad decision with your home. When you put 10 or 12 samples on your wall, your brain stops comparing accurately. Everything starts kind of blending together. You lose your ability to judge undertones properly, and you end up second guessing everything. More options don't give you clarity, they create noise.
Louder, son! Bud Liquor! Our prices have never been lower!
You're much better off narrowing your choices down to 2 or 3 strong candidates. Colors that already align with your space, your lighting, and your materials. And usually what I like to do is pick 2 or 3 different directions so you can at least compare 3 different vibes that you can potentially go with. At that point, you're not searching anymore, you are refining, my friend. This is where good judgment beats more information. Step 5, test in your actual space. Now you test, but not casually. You don't just stick a sample on one wall and just call it a day. Move it around. Look at it next to your flooring, your cabinets, your countertops. Look at it in the morning. Look at it in the evening. Bonus if you can look at it on a sunny day versus a cloudy day. Colors don't exist in isolation. They react to everything around them. Step 6, please evaluate at night. This is the step almost nobody does, and it's where a lot of paint colors fall apart. A paint color that looks good during the day can completely fall apart at night. Artificial lighting changes everything. It can make warm colors feel more yellow. It can make cool colors feel flat and kind of muddy. It can totally strip depth out of a color that looked layered in natural light. This is where you really see how a color behaves. If a paint color still feels good in the evening under your actual lighting, it's a strong candidate. Because if it works at night, it will almost always work during the day. I can't tell you how many times I do a color consultation with someone and they always say, quick, let me get some better lighting. You gotta work with what you have. And especially for someone that has a 9 to 5 and you're out of the house all day anyway, you're most likely gonna experience that color in the evening after work. So you should like it at nighttime. This is really the step that separates a pretty good choice
Pretty good.
to one that actually holds up. Choosing a paint color isn't about finding the perfect swatch. It's about eliminating the wrong ones in the right order. Start chipping away at your choices. Start with your fixed elements, decide warm or cool, choose your depth, narrow your options, test properly, and make sure it works at night. That's the process. And if you follow it, you're not guessing anymore. You're choosing with intention. I feel like intention is the main theme of this channel. You gotta do things with purpose, my friends. Like and subscribe.